Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. So here in this lecture series, we are going to begin cascading style sheets, that is CSS. So whenever you want to create any web page or website, CSS plays a major role. Okay, so in this video lecture, we will start with the CSS basic introduction and some important information I am going to share with you in this particular lecture. So let's move to the definitions first. So as you always know, CSS means cascading style sheets. That means by using CSS terms, by using CSS rules, you can create more attractive or you can create more interactive web page or websites. Okay, so CSS is nothing but it is the language we use to style HTML document. So in previous lecture series, we have already discussed about HTML in detail. Okay, we have covered almost 30 lectures where we have discussed all the important tags in HTML. So if you want to make your HTML document more interactive, more creative, then you can use CSS, that is cascading style sheets, along with your HTML document. Also, CSS describes how HTML elements should be displayed, and CSS is used to style and lay out the web pages. Okay, so with the help of one example, I would like to clarify everything. So as you can see here in this example, suppose this is our HTML. This is just a set of code. This is just a structure of code with the help of which we can create a web page. But if you want to make your web page more interactive, more attractive, so that audience can easily understand everything, so we always need to use CSS along with your HTML code. So this is the best example for HTML and CSS. So I hope everything is clear till now. Also, CSS makes the front end of a website shine and it creates a great user experiences. And without CSS, websites would be less pleasing to the eyes and likely much harder to navigate. So without CSS, your website is much harder to navigate. Okay, like in this example, if I say where is the eyes of this particular person A. Okay, so if you are using simple HTML, it is difficult for you to identify everything. But when you use CSS, it will make your web page, it will make your basic structure more attractive. That is the difference. That is the most important statement you should know before moving to the practical section of CSS. Okay, let's talk about some important features of CSS. So CSS files are integrated in HTML. As I have told you, if you know everything about HTML, if you know the basic structure of HTML, if you know the basic tags or how to use all these tags, everything if you know, only then you will be able to use CSS. Okay, so CSS code is always integrated in HTML code. So students, if you forgot to watch any of the video related to HTML, you can check the description box. I have added the playlist link there. You can check every lecture. Okay. So next feature says that one can use multiple selectors to access every element or group, and styling is defined as key value pairs and is used to define the font size for H1 in 24 pixels or default 32 pixels. So all these things are the important features that you can use in CSS. Okay, so all these things we will discuss in some next lecture practically. Now, most important section we are going to start here is, that is, what is the difference between HTML and CSS? So HTML stands for what? HTML stands for hypertext markup language. And CSS stands for cascading style sheets. As its name implies, if you want to cascade, means if you want to join or if you want to merge the style on your already available sheets, that is called cascading style sheets. Cascade here means to join, to merge, to more make it more attractive. Okay, for example, we can create a table by using HTML, right? As we have discussed this previous in previous lecture series, that we can create a table by using HTML. But if you want to make your table more attractive, then you need to use the cascading style sheets. So CSS is a style sheet language responsible for the presentation of documents written in markup languages. So in any markup language, with any markup language, you can use cascading style sheet syntax, and with the help of these syntax, you can make your web page, you can make your document more presentable. Okay, for example, if we want to modify or make a table attractive, you can use CSS along with the table, right? So next important statements I would like to add here is HTML language is very easy to learn. Let's say HTML and CSS. So HTML language is very easy to learn with a clear syntax. It has very its syntax is always very clear. Okay, but CSS sometimes create complication in code and get messy. So CSS sometimes get messy. Okay, next important point in case of HTML is HTML files can include the CSS code. This statement means what? Suppose this is my HTML code, and under my HTML code I can use the CSS attributes, right? But it is not the same with CSS, because CSS can never contain the HTML codes. So CSS can never contain the HTML code. So this is what I want to say. I hope this particular point is clear for you, because this is very important. I am repeating the statement. HTML files can include CSS code, but CSS can never contain the HTML codes. Next statement I would like to add here is HTML uses tags. In case of HTML, you should know we always use the tags. Whereas in case of CSS, we always use selectors. Remember this point. Okay, in case of HTML tag, for example, we use table, and in case of CSS we always use the selectors. We will discuss about selectors in some next video. Okay, so stay tuned. Next point here I would like to add is HTML is used to create web pages. So with the help of HTML we can create the web page. Okay, whereas the CSS controls the layout and styling of the web pages. Okay, CSS is used to control the layout. With the help of HTML we can create a basic layout. As you can see with the help of this example, with the help of HTML you can just create the simple layout of a particular website. But if you want to control, or if you want to style all these layouts to make your website more attractive, we can use the CSS. That is the major difference between HTML and CSS codes. So most important statement in this lecture is that in HTML we use tags, and in case of CSS we always use the selectors. Now we are using CSS now, so you should know most important advantages or disadvantages of CSS, or we can say that merits or demerits of using CSS. First advantage is it improves the speed of your web page. It improves the speed of your website, and pages take less time to load properly. Next advantage is it is capable with multiple devices. Multiple devices. Remember all these points. We will discuss everything practically in next lectures after this introduction part. Okay, so we can use multiple devices. along with the CSS code. And CSS actually is very easy to maintain because of its containers, and it provides us more attributes as compared to HTML. It always provides us more attributes, and it always support offline browsing. It always support offline browsing. So also in case of HTML, we can use offline browsing, right? Now, some disadvantages of using CSS is that sometimes CSS can be messy and can create so much complication in your code. And in CSS, there is no interaction with the database. So if you are using CSS, no, it has no interaction with database, okay, like SQL, etc. Also, CSS has multiple levels like CSS1, CSS2, CSS3, जिससे कि so many times हम लोगों को confusion हो जाता है. Okay, so this is also one of the disadvantage of using CSS. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching this.